slowly. All right, I'm calling to order the Valley High Operating Meeting on September 3rd. It is 1:34. So I'll do roll call. Carl Kaminsky.
Present.
Mike Shorten.
Here.
Gloria Van Hoff.
Here.
And Teresa Machis. Myself, I am here. Do we have a motion for the minutes approval? Carl's first, Mike second. Any comments or notes?
It looks like he's in.
All right. Jim, are you in?
No, I don't see. Yeah, you're just seeing different windows open up for the people in the room.
Yeah, his name is on the bottom. It's on that list on the bottom, but he's
Right.
not in yet.
Yep, he would appear up here with mine if he showed up.
Okay. All right. All in favor of the minutes approval?
Aye.
Say aye. Good. Approved. I do not believe we have any public comment, and we do not.
Public comment.
John's about to walk in. Alright, so we'll make note that John Reiner is going to go.
Hello.
We've just approved the minutes. We have no public comment.
Thank you.
We give you a moment if you want to make a member's comment. Does anyone want to make a member's comment?
I would like to make a comment. It was a pleasure to be at MCC this morning and for the Caddy opening. And I saw Peter, I saw Jim Wheeler, several other board members were there, and it was just amazing. So for someone like myself who took my first class there in 1978, and I was talking to some students, and the girl said, what was your first class? And I said, oh, it was typewriting. She said, don't you mean keyboard? I said, no, I mean typewriting. So this college has come such a long way since then.
You look so young.
But it was a pleasure to be there and to see the great support and to see the building itself. Now, the board members are going to have an individual tour that we will be invited to go through, because they were taking people through 20 people at a time, and there was quite a group there, so some of us had to get going. But as board members, you will all be invited for that tour at some time future. But it's a beautiful building.
Any other member comment? Okay. Then to the Valley High Administration report. Tom, you're up.
All right. I appreciate the opportunity to speak for you guys today. I'm going to keep it pretty high level and short. Carl told me that I need to have him out of here in 20 minutes. No, I'm just kidding. But let's just real high level stuff. Staffing wise, we're still really looking good as far as overall staffing, but we've had some changes in leadership that I just want to bring to your attention. Our infection preventionist, who has been with us for, well, let's just put it to you this way. Her mom worked here. She grew up here, started as a CNA when she was 16, became an RN, was an ADON for us for a little while, and then became our infection preventionist. She is going to step back away from full-time work and work as a floor nurse for us for a little while. She's going back to school to become a nurse practitioner. With the thought plan, you probably caught the comment at QA the last meeting where I said Dr. Egg the application's about a year and a half away.
Oh, okay.
Her thought is to try to get in with the doctor's office and actually become a practicing NP outside of long-term care. But for now, she's just going to be a floor nurse for us, so we don't lose her entirely. But she has been an absolute rock star when it comes to keeping us safe, infection prevention, and that's a gap that's not going to be an easy one to fill. We did hire a new assistant director of nursing in that same time period. She started this morning. She has a background in infection prevention, so kind of different way of looking at it. Her level of education as far as infection prevention is not at the same level as Megan, who is our outgoing individual, but she is very open to taking the classes and doing that expansion of her knowledge base. So we'll be working on that in a short period of time. And then our activity director, Linda, who's been with the county, I think 27 years, retired 2 weeks ago. Her assistant, Gwen, has been promoted to activity director. So The programming should be absolutely seamless. We knew a year and a half ago that Linda was getting to this point, so we went and had Gwen go get all the certifications to be able to just glide right into that role when the time came. So as far as activity programming goes and services go, it should be like basically yesterday and today are the same. So Gwen does have some new ideas, but as far as the big events and all of that stuff, we're going to continue the same that we've always done. And then the last thing, staffing-wise, just to let you guys know, in 2 weeks, we're going to be doing a little half-day leadership retreat. It'll be here, but I'm going to bring my leadership team in now that we've added 2 new faces, and we're going to look at the working agreement, which is something that we've had in place here for many years now. And basically what it is it's a contract. And it's a contract that every leader in the building signs, and it just says these are the rules that we're going to operate by as far as how we're going to interact with each other. Every time I bring in a new department head, we pull it out, we take a look at it, get everybody to re-up their commitment to those tenets, and we all sign it, and it hangs in our conference room where we meet for most of our meetings. So we'll do that and do some other leadership stuff, and I've got this neat little video that I'm going to play for them that I came across that it just talks about the different forms of leadership from, you know, the driving the bus to the person that's kind of on the bus but holding on to it and kind of trying to slow it down and how all that, it'll really resonate with a couple of them. So we'll just call it a reset, even though we're not really resetting. It's just we've got enough new faces now to kind of hit the ground at a base level and build for next year. So that's all of the staffing stuff that I could share with you guys right now. Census-wise, we're full. And we've been running hot and full for quite a while now. I think it was May, we had that month that it was down. And then after that, for whatever reason, the phones started ringing, and we went a good week-long period. We were telling the hospital that we couldn't take the referrals. I mean, not even take the referral, that we just full. So at this point, I think we have 2 beds open, but we're already in flux with them. So we're full at the inn, which helps out on the financial side. And the financial June report I sent to you guys this morning, and then it's also attached to the back of your paper packet that you guys have right now. Just hitting the highlights on that. Hello.
Okay, sorry.
Just hitting the highlights on that. The net income in June was negative 56,000, which brings us our year-to-date at negative 332. And the reason why I want to highlight that is we're going to talk a little bit about memory care financials in a minute, and I want that number to stick in your head because I'm going to rewind it, forecast it forward, and then show you how that fits into the overall picture here in a minute. Any questions on the financial stuff? I got like 2 quick announcements, and then there's 2 discussions I want to have with you guys. I'll take that as a no. We are in our second COVID outbreak of the summer. We're on 2 more days, and then we get to roll some of the steps back. Not uncommon for long-term care right now because the COVID is really rampant in the community. Small handful of residents, small handful of staff, same thing as the last one. So we closed the first one from the end of July, and it was maybe a week or 2 later, we had another fresh set of positives and back at it again. So still in contact with the health department, still following the same old protocols that we've followed before. We're looking to do a COVID vaccine clinic in a couple weeks, more like a month and a half, so I guess that's more than a couple weeks. When the new strain, bivalent, whatever you want to call it, comes out, we'll do a clinic here at the facility. But if you look at overall vaccination rates from where they were coming right out of COVID to where they're at now as far as the resident population, it's pretty low. A lot of the residents coming in now are not, when I say fully vaccinated, it doesn't mean that they've never been vaccinated, but they haven't kept up all of the boosters and the series. And so the population at large, it's a relatively small number that are still maintaining every one of the boosters as they go along. So, and then the last 2 pieces is the memory care unit update, which, if it's okay with you, Madam Chair, I'd like to take that now before the resolution because it explains some of the numbers behind the resolution.
Okay.
And then the other thing I want to just walk through with you guys is last month we had a conversation about the generator and what are our options and what should we do. So in the administrator's report packet that I sent you guys is a two-page, we'll call it an analysis, that Tom Burrows and his team did over so it takes the last two major events and kind of breaks down. Can you see one of those packets right there? It's on the way. Yeah. How about one more? Perfect. Anyone else? I think we're covered.
Thank you, Tom.
No problem. So, after our meeting, I went back and I talked with Burrows a little bit, and we kind of reassessed where basically the same conversation that we had back in 2011. So what do we do? Is it worth bringing in a brand new generator to get the full power? Is it worth just doing a small side project? Where do we want to kind of settle in at? And so the first thing that Tom did is he looked at, well, how many times have we had in the last 15 years or so to even be in a situation where not having that power has made a difference to cool the building? And it's happened only twice. Once in 2011, and then a couple weeks ago, or a little over a month or so ago, okay? The generator rental cost this time, when we brought it in, was less than 10 grand. It was right around $7,000, okay? So you have that, the cost of the electricians, all in, let's just call it $20,000 to just make it, that's higher than it is, but just round number. So if you figure in today's dollars, it's 20 grand to rent and hook up and operate a portable emergency generator versus if we were going to go buy new at this point, it's at 600,000.
Yeah.
It just, when we sit down and we actually analyze it, it doesn't make a whole lot of sense financially to go down that path for something that happens once every, let's just call it 15 years on average. So what we did then is we looked at, well, what other options can we do to make it A, safer, and B, faster when we bring that generator in to link up an emergency generator, addition. That is that option one, $50,000 to $60,000, where they will, and this gets way out over my skis, so I'm not going to try to explain it in any high level or any ground level. So high level, it's a quick connect option that will be attached directly to the outside generator, so they don't have to bring cabling in through the building. Because when they do this, we have to create a temporary door, run cables from the emergency generator into our power panel, hook up from there, and then power the building. So what he wants to be able to do is to add all of that connection outside right there at the generator. No cables running through the building. It's already set and ready to go for quick connect. And it would save them on the facilities management electrician time of between an hour to 2 hours in time to get from the generator in and the building cooled. So it just saves them a lot of time. So after talking through this with him, we would like to recommend that if we're going to do anything, we do option one, and we can add that in as a, we'll build it into next year's budget as a supplemental. I'll have to go in and add it. And then we just, when the spring comes or the time comes that we can get at that work, get this installed and have that quick connect in for $50,000 to $60,000. Or we just continue to operate the way we have been, and when the time comes, they're getting good at it, so we can connect the same way. So with that, I'm going to get out of the way, and I'll let you guys discuss and provide me with some guidance as to what you'd like to see done.
So if we do the quick connect, that would cost the $60,000?
Yeah, about $50,000 to $60,000.
Would that be done by staff?
No,
here?
that would be associated more than likely.
Okay.
Yeah.
When we hook up generators in the residentials, we call them sub-panels, right? And it's the power source to get to what you need while the power's out. This would be perfect to do. I would advocate for that, because not only would it be easy in the emergencies, but should you ever decide, Tom runs across a generator that is no longer in use and he could save, he could always hook that up to that sub panel, right? You could always use that again and again and again if you need it, if power outages started reoccurring, but you'd always have that. And then just drive the generator over and hook it up. I mean, they're plug and go. This way you wouldn't have to.
That's why he says
hook it
it'll
up into
save
the
them a
main
lot of
panel.
time.
This gives you a sub panel, just goes right into it, and then it distributes from there. That would be the smartest thing I would, you guys could do.
And there's a safety aspect to it.
Yeah,
You know,
it's all in pipe,
Don't have to worry about the
Yep.
cords and everything.
yeah. That would be the smartest thing I think you guys could do.
so is that what the committee would like to see me put it through as a supplemental request and have boroughs take the lead on this?
I mean, I think that is good to put it as a supplemental request. I'm kind of wondering, I don't know if, it's probably Peter, maybe it's Scott, can talk about how likely it is that actually make it to the list of things that get done this year.
I love your honesty,
No,
Pete.
I mean, as long as the group is, when I say the group, if you guys wanna do this, it's,
Yes.
the Valley High money doesn't compete with other projects.
Oh,
So
okay.
that's
Yeah.
why I say with a high level of confidence that if we wanna do it, we can do it.
Yeah, because we have reserve funds that we use for
The Valley High money can only be used for Valley High.
That's right.
So it's not, I'm not measuring that against a squad car or a
Right,
snowplow
right,
or whatever.
right.
I mean,
Well, he could always put it on for next year's budget, right? And then-
Yeah, we could delay it a year.
So,
And
I
just
mean,
delay it a year.
I mean,
It's September, so.
in terms
No,
of
when's the budget year?
opportunities for the.
December 1.
I mean, if you guys say do this, Tom will write it up and we'll put it on the supplemental list. The whole board will have a chance to view it and discuss if that's something that they wanna do. And then it'll be in the budget for 25.
He's in.
And then, because it's gonna be $50,000 or $60,000, it's gonna need to get approved again. So
Right.
he's gonna have to bring it forward at some point in 25, where the next Valley High Operating Committee and the next Valley County Board will have an opportunity to get further measure whether that's what they want to do. So I think we can do it.
Yeah, in years past, I would have done it as an emergency appropriation at some point. And then you guys, and I don't know if it was this committee or finance, but had asked if we could try to get everything that we're foreseeing into the supplemental process,
Right.
so they can
Right.
see it earlier.
Right.
So that's why I'm only recommending that if we're gonna do it, let's just put it in.
Right.
But either way, you know, we're not in a rush either.
Right, because the storm season's over.
Well,
But next
the
year.
heat is the big thing, because we,
Well, you do get ice storms and whatnot, yeah.
well, the heat is on the generator. I meant the heat like summer temps. We're past that point now.
Right, we are past that and the storms.
Yeah.
And Pete, you
Jim
feel
Kearns
strongly
is
either.
finally in.
Oh, yeah, Jim Kearns has entered the meeting. Hi, Jim.
Aye.
Were you guys
We need a
okay
motion,
last,
yes.
Tuesday, we could go tonight? Without storm, were you okay?
Oh, yeah.
Because the whole river valley was out, for 6 or
So
7
we
hours.
did lose
But
power.
We were fine.
Just like we normally would, but because that evening was cool, we were able to circulate just using the, regular, air, and we were fine, so no, it was a non-issue.
Okay. We need to does anybody want to make a motion to let Jim into the meeting? Mike will make the motion, anyone seconds it? Carl seconds it, any discussion? Probably not. All in favor?
Okay.
Okay, all right, Jim, welcome to the meeting. We are currently discussing, adding an update to our supplemental request for Valley High, to install an emergency manual power tap for the exterior of Valley High, which would cost between $50,000 to $60,000, so that'd be a supplemental, request being put into next year's budget. So that was what we were discussing when you entered the meeting.
Okay, thank you. I'll listen in for what.
Okay. Okay. So, it sounds like the consensus is to go ahead and add that to supplementals.
Yes.
Okay,
All right.
all right, I will do that. I will let Tom know that that was your plan. And, he gets full credit for this analysis. Really, I just sat on the sidelines and nodded my head, but, no, it makes a lot of sense. And like I said, I think that, the better option, because if you're looking at 600,000 in today's dollars, it's probably 700,000 in next year's dollars. And they're going up from there, so. All right, cool. I appreciate that guidance. Then the last thing from my administrator's report is just a memory care unit, and I want to run through a couple things for you guys, and then it kind of leads into the resolution. So work status wise, the flooring is almost entirely in. They are doing the dining room today. Hallways are done, resident rooms are done, bathrooms are done. I mean, it's sharp. Right now, it's got a fine layer of dust on top of it, but it looks sharp. Most of the casework is in, lighting is in. I mean, we're getting close to that point where we start bringing in finishes and furnishings. We have a few items that we just found out from the manufacturers that they'll be delayed a little bit. It's not going to delay the opening of the unit at all, but they won't be here the first week of October like we were hoping. It's looking more like November, mid-November. But some of that stuff is going to start rolling in the next month, and at that point, it's going to be looking ready to go. One of the things that we thought we would do, because the staff are just chomping at the bit to get their eyes on, is we were going to set up a day and kind of do, once they get most of the construction work done, is just do like a little staff tour day, where we allow the staff to take 10 minutes off their shift, come on down, we give them a quick tour, let them get a feel for it, kind of build some more excitement going into that. We are currently soliciting thoughts on names. We've got a serious list and a not so serious list. There's a few names that came out of the department head meeting the last month that have Tom's Burrow's name in them that are absolutely hysterical. They're not on the not so serious list, but they're going to be on the list when he sees it. But otherwise, we've got some pretty good recommendations. But if you guys have any thoughts, please email me. I want to get them on the list. The way this is going to shake out is me and a couple of the leaders will whittle the list down to about 10. And then we're going to give it to the residents and the staff to pick. And whatever name has the most votes at the end, that's the name. So anything you guys want to send my way, please do. Memory care unit director, once we approve the resolution at the county board level, if we get to that point, we'll be able to get that person on board. I've already positioned a few things for the individual once they get on board to hit the ground running. So we should be looking pretty good as far as programming and some other things. I did engage a little bit. The name probably isn't going to be familiar to you guys, but all the way back when MPA was doing their study and we were looking at the feasibility, there was a gentleman that we brought in to help with the MPA side. His name was Stu Gaines. He is the individual that wrote the rules and regs in Illinois. I've worked with him on a couple other projects. I talked to him on the phone last week. I've kind of brought him in. This isn't going to cost us anything at this point, but just I ran the staffing model pattern past him and a couple other things. He's going to be a resource to the memory care unit director when that individual starts as well. And then if we need to engage him deeper, we can, which will be something I'll bring before you guys. There's still some room in the memory care project budget to do that if we needed to. And then I want to talk through high-level financials with you guys. If you look in your packets, there's this one-page document that I put together. I'm going to walk you through it really quick, but you're going to see how all these pieces tie together here in a minute. So I'll give you a second to turn to it.
Which page is it?
Look at the MCU revenue estimates.
Yep, looks like this.
Okay.
Okay, so what I wanted to do for you guys today, without getting so far into the weeds that we can't see the top, is just real high level, what is the financial model of this unit going to look like, and how do all of these pieces kind of come together? So the key is the top part, the four numbers at the top. The bottom part is kind of showing you how do I get to the numbers. What is it, how does you arrive at that? Things that are not included in these numbers. Shared expenses, right? Dietary, laundry, housekeeping, all of those things that we're not adding staff in order to operate the unit. It's already baked into the overall financials. Those are not in these numbers. So you figure there's another expense level that comes off the top of this. But if you take a 50-50 case mix, meaning 50% Medicaid, 50% private pay, you figure your net revenue is about $3.8 million. Now, you got to start breaking your costs down from there. Staffing-wise, based on the staffing model that we are looking at right now, which is, if you look below that in that staffing expenses, that's the model. It's the way the staff will complement and break out. That's to have the same number, so why you see full-times and part-times. If we're going to stay at 2 CNAs and an activity aide on the day shift, plus a nurse, every single day, you got to have a full-timer and a part-timer complement. So that's why the numbers seem like there's more than the staff that are going to be on the floor. When you add all that in, plus payroll expenses, taxes, FICA, yada, yada, it gets us to roughly about $700,000. in expense for a year. Then food is an easy one. We know what our food cost is. We can take that, multiply it by the total number of residents, and then push that out for the year. That's about $125,000 for the year on the unit. So you take those two numbers, and that leaves you with about $3 million in net revenue before we start taking out fixed costs. So remember when we had the conversation before, we were about $330,000 short for the year? If I project that forward, at the end of the year, we should be about $570,000 to $600,000 short in revenue over expenses for this current fiscal year. So take that number and bake it into that $3 million, because they're going to help offset each other, and you're roughly about $2.5 million in annual revenue before all your fixed costs, housekeeping, laundry, dietary staff, and all of that. So the reason I bring that up is to show you guys that even at this point, we are still running at what should be a very net positive position on that unit once we get it fully open and fully operationalized. And Scott and I have been working with my team on the model and updating it so that we can show you guys that in a little bit more graphical detail, which I would imagine we're targeting next meeting at this point.
Yes, yes we are.
Yes, we are. So,
That sounded really positive.
well, we've put a lot of backside work, no, I shouldn't say we, I've done nothing. Scott has put a lot of backside work into this based off of these projections, the updated capital improvement plan, some more of the revenue, and things that we can anticipate. So it's a lot better picture than what you're getting from just this little quick high-level thing. But I wanted to give you something to chew on to justify, well, how are we going to afford the additional staff we're going to bring on in order to operate the unit, which is the resolution that comes next. And then the second part of that is, when you look at the resolution, you're going to say, well, Tom, the number in the resolution doesn't jive with the number that's in your staffing expenses. That's because we don't need to add every single one of the new staff on. We have positions in the building that we have left vacant while the two hallways have been shut down, that we're just going to fill them at this point. So you're not looking at bringing on the full complement of staff. You're only looking at bringing on the unit director, a part-time activity assistant, the small number of staff to get us to that next level of staffing for the unit. So that's a very high-level explanation to what we're going to show you guys in a month, which will be the full house picture. And at that point, I'll take any questions you guys have about the numbers, how we arrive at them, what the thought is.
Do you have any questions?
No, not so far.
I do have a question.
Okay.
So we're looking at the RNs. I was thinking to myself, don't we need to have an RN always on the unit?
No, in the building. So you have to have an RN 24 hours a day in the building.
Okay.
We meet that hands down 10
Right.
times over.
Right.
There is no RN requirement on a memory care unit.
Okay.
Now, you can fill your nursing hours and medication stuff through different avenues. Could be an LPN, for example, or whatever. So there's no requirement for that. Now, we are slotting it as an RN. I want an RN on that unit.
Right.
The memory care unit director will also be an RN. And then that way, we have an RN that can back up if there's a call off, past meds, but also doing that clinical assessment piece, coming back from that unit into the other side of the house. At some point, having clinical eyes on that will make a big difference. But no,
Okay.
We
'Cause,
can-
yeah, I was like, I feel like we need more RNs, but no, we don't need
You'll
more
have-
all the time.
yep, and then right outside the unit, you'll still have your 2 RNs on there during the days and the PMs and the 1 RN at night. Right. It's a good question, though. Did you pick that up from that committee, that 24-hour RN requirement?
Well, I was just thinking, I just thought to myself, there's only on your sheet, it only has 60 hours a week for RNs, and I'm like, there are 108 more hours in the week.
They're going to work on kind of a hybrid shift, too.
Okay.
So right now, our day shift RNs come in before 6 a.m., sometime between 6 and 7.
Yeah.
This person's not going to start until almost 9 o'clock. And so they'll bridge breakfast, lunch, and dinner and be
Okay.
on the unit during more of the active times.
Yes.
And then the morning routine and the evening routine is going to be carried out by your CNA teams that are on the unit.
Okay.
Any other high-level questions? Okay. Well, then with that, I'll close my report.
All right. All right. Alright, so we have one resolution, which is the resolution authorizing the creation of additional positions to staff the memory care unit. Do we have a motion? Carl motions, Terry seconds, any discussion? No discussion, alright, then we will vote. Carl,
Yes.
Mike,
Yes.
John,
Yes.
Terry,
Yes.
Gloria,
Yes.
and I will also vote yes.
Mr. Kearns?
Oh, Mr.
And I'll
Kurtz,
vote-
I'm sorry.
And I'll vote yes too.
Thank you, sorry, oh, I was out of order there, I'm sorry. Alright, we've already talked about the memory care unit update, we don't have any old business. Our future topic, we know, is gonna be that model.
Yes.
I'm looking at it right now, and that line is going in the right direction.
And I do appreciate your patience. I know this is
Yes.
really important, especially as you start staffing up and ramping up for the memory care unit. And a lot of changes, a lot of things that have to make sense out of over the past couple of years, and just as the audits change and things are reported differently. But working with Tom and his team, you know, there's a few pieces I still have to develop. This information that you're getting is a good prelude to what I need to integrate into the model so it can be functional. My number one and most important task is I want to make sure I'm presenting something to you that is going to be accurate and reliable as you make those projections and the assumptions, because I don't want to give you a bad tool. If I give you a bad tool, you're going to make, you won't be able to make the best decisions you can. So precision is really important to me, and I'm looking forward to being in that position this time next month.
Nice. Now for the future, for that model, are we breaking it up, memory care from the rest of the house, or are we putting it together?
So I still want to break out, and I think, as Tom just reported on, we can break out memory care revenues and expenses. I think that's important to do. Some things, if we're able to surgically extract that into the memory care, such as staffing and food, we can do that, but other things like housekeeping and the laundry, those are going to have to be baked into just the whole house numbers. So I'm probably just going to put a note, but that's the best way I can handle it, unless Tom can tell me that it's going to be directly proportional. But I think we're getting probably too far into the weeds on that, and I don't think it's going to really give you data. But I do want to show you how the memory care unit affects. When I look at the census, so we're going from an overall census of 120 beds. Now, this facility, by certification, is 128 beds, but we've always used in the model 120 beds, and the reason is because there's always going to be vacancies. If somebody moves out, they transition a room and move in, so you're never going to have 128, very unlikely you're going to have 120 beds fully staffed. So census is based on a shorter number. Then, since we lost a few because of the memory care unit, we're going to be building this model based on a census of 80 beds for the general house and 27 beds for memory care unit. And that's going to be, that's going to be slightly different as far as the revenues that can be generated between those two. And I got to break those up. But what's important is, and when we went down this path, for those who may have been here, I don't know who, I said a few of you may have been here, when MPA first took a look at this and did the report, and actually really brought the memory care unit to life, their conclusion from the analysis of Valley High was Valley High does not have an expenditure problem. Valley High had a revenue problem. And the recommendation was get into the memory care business because there was a need, the market supports it, and there's a way if you leverage your Medicaid dollars, private pay, and in this case now Medicare, you can actually help offset some of those other costs that go into the whole house. I think what Tom has just reported is that can come to fruition. If now you have a revenue stream for the memory care that can help support the rest of the whole house. So I want to develop a model so you can actually see that, and then we can put in those costs that we know, those costs that we can assume, those costs we can trend or project, and then from there you can see how one will affect the other. So, looking forward to it.
Are there any other future topics that we are going to discuss next month?
No, I
Yes.
guess I just have one question for Tom. When we had our census down before, it was largely due to staffing at one point.
Mm-hmm.
And so I know staffing has improved now.
I'm at full capacity.
Okay.
I can't take a single resident more at this point, and staffing is good.
Okay, so when you say at full capacity, how many beds are we talking?
Right now, our full capacity is 80. And we're running, I think today's census is 76 plus two in the hospital.
Okay, so you
So-
have 80 for residential and then
27.
you are allowing 27, so that's 107. But
You
you
have-
actually have 120 beds?
Well, so you have the Medicare unit, let's just call the hallway going down this way. All of those beds are dual occupancy. We're operating them as single suites, right,
Okay.
for the short-term rehab. So instead of 16 beds on that unit, you only have 8.
Okay.
And then you take that and you do the same thing on the other Medicare short-term hallway, and that gives you a couple. And then we're gonna do the same thing on the memory care unit. So the reason why we do it that way, just so that everybody understands, is your beds are where your value of your asset is. So your license, if you, let's just say, go in and we tell the state of Illinois we're only gonna operate 110 beds anymore, and they take the 18 off of your roster, you have now devalued your asset, right? Because now your capacity, your licensed ability is less. So the rules in Illinois, the way it's written, is you can operate your beds, your rooms, in any way you want, so long as it can be converted back to a dual occupancy room at any point in time on a given notice. So that's really quite simple. In the basement, we have beds, wardrobe cabinets, and bedside tables for 128. And that we know that we can always put those rooms back into full function. That's why I was saying, we're operating at a number, but our license would allow us to go beyond that should we ever need to. But right now, we don't need to, and we staff to the level of which we're at, not to what we're licensed at. So we're not giving away any of our licensed capacity, but we're going to operate functionally at a lower number, which gives us some private rooms to work with, which is what the short-term market is looking for, and then also same thing on the memory care side.
Okay, all right, thank you.
All right. Well, then with that, I will be.
Teresa?
Yes, Jim.
Teresa? I'd like to say something, is that okay?
Yes, go ahead.
Tom, I appreciate you reviewing the history of the MPA and the county board in their decision of how we got here. And this is the exact reason what you're just speaking of in the financials of why we've done this. And I do appreciate you and everyone else who's been involved doing this, because it's been very important. And being one that was here from the beginning, I appreciate you mentioning that so that everyone understands we did this with a plan, and you guys made a great plan.
Well, I can't take credit for that. That was actually Scott that said that, but I appreciate the comment.
Yeah, well, Scott too. So, and Scott's been with the beginning with all of his projections and his thing, and that's what I included everyone, because that it makes it totally understandable why and how and the outcome. It makes it understandable for everyone now. Thank you.
Well, the funny thing is, I'll just throw this in there. I did pull the original MPA analysis out, and one of the things that they shared with me was these Excel spreadsheets that they used to create it on the backside. It is amazing how pre-COVID, the numbers they baked in for salaries, pay rates, commodities, and to see where we're at today is so vastly different. Almost unusable. But we were able to, take them out, back them out, put new numbers in, clean it up. But we're talking off by the room and board rate was off by almost $50 a day per bed, and pay rates were way, way low. So just to show you what COVID did to the industry.
All right. Thank you, Jefferson. All right, so with that, we're looking for a motion to adjourn. Carl and then Terry seconds. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All right, we are adjourned.